Bonjour everyone and welcome back to Farmers Corners FC, the French football podcast with the accent. Thank you again for listening to the pod. Of course, subscribe, rate, tell your friends. Don't do that and just simply enjoy hearing about French football and enjoy your host Jeremy Magan talking as much as possible about everything he loves in France and the football is the main thing. Start talking about myself at the third person. I probably think I'm more than what I actually am. Thanks for being here. As usual, it's going to be a busy episode. As usual, I'm going to release that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, but also on YouTube and on Facebook if you want to catch up the YouTube channel. Speaking of YouTube, actually, I should probably give a shout to a couple of pods that I've worked with and I've appeared on this week. The Late Winner Show by my mate Rishab, who lives in San Francisco, which is a great football podcast. If you guys want to have a look at it, it just talks about everything football, and we've done a couple of previews for the Champions League coming up this week. And the Hopeless Wanderer podcast, which is a pretty cool podcast as well. Some very informed chaps are running the show over there, and I got to talk to one of them on Rishab's pod, and it was a very good experience. So please give it a listen if you just enjoy football in general. There's not going to be as much French football as there is on my pods, but it's still very cool. Right, so since the last pod, the transfer window was closed. France, of course, has played 3 games, 2 draws against Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Ukraine, and a solid performance and a win against Finland. And after that, of course, this past 3 days, Matchday 5 was on, 10 games were played. Monaco, Lille still struggling. Paris Saint-Germain, Nice, and Marseille were definitely the winners of the weekend. Angers and Lens are still undefeated. It's great to see after 5 games. So what we're going to do during this pod is we'll actually quickly touch on France and on the 3 games that have happened the past 2 weeks. Not necessarily about the game, actually. We're just going to talk about do we think that Deschamps is the guy, right? He's still the guy and is going to be the guy until the World Cup. And after that, as usual, we go through Ligue 1 and the 10 games that were over this weekend, and we'll finish with a little sneak peek of what we can expect in Europe this season. The Champions League, the Europa League, and the European Conference League are starting this week. Yay! More early mornings for me, so I can watch all my teams playing. It'd be Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning, and then Saturday morning back with Liga. Anyway, let's start straight away. Whoever is listening to the pod on Spotify music, and if you are here with me on video, let's get it straight away. We're going to start with France. So complicated international window that just ended. Complicated, but eventually positive. So 3 games. We set it 1-1 against Bosnia-Herzegovina. In Strasbourg, actually, the crowd was amazing. I think it's worth saying. In the east of France, it's been a while since they play in Lameno full, and that was a very good experience. And then 1-1 in Ukraine, all the way back in the east over there. And once this was done, they came back to France and they were playing in Lyon. Lyon against Finland, where they won 2-0. In Ukraine, the goal scorer was Martial. In Strasbourg against Bosnia, the goal scorer was Griezmann. And in Lyon against Finland, the goal scorer was Griezmann twice as well. So 3 goals for our newly transferred former Barcelona, newly Atletico Madrid striker, and definitely the leader of this French national team. What did we see? Koundé taking a red card. Very unfortunate. Again, he was playing right back, although we know he's a centre-back. One of those choices by Deschamps that makes us think that maybe he's not the right man for the job. But besides that, I think it went okay. There's just a lot of chat around, and in France, actually, there's a lot of chatter around, is Deschamps still the right man for the job? Is he a thing of the past? And are we already past the tipping point? Are we already done? And is Qatar just going to be a wreck waiting to happen? The situation as it stands, we are basically qualified for the World Cup, right? There's only 2 games left for us in our group. It's a group of 5 teams, so we have to play eight games. We played 6. Ukraine and Finland, the 2 other teams that can potentially qualify ahead of us, have 3 and 4 games left to play, but we are 7 points away from them too. And so we're hosting Kazakhstan, and then we're visiting Finland on the November period. So 1 win in either of those games, and we're going through. Before these last 2 games, we also have a couple of games for the National League's final series. So the semifinals are going to be, for us, the 7th of October against Belgium. It's going to be played in Torino, in Italy, and the other semifinal will be Italy versus Spain. And then the 2 losers meet and the 2 winners meet. And then it's going to be the final of the second Nations League in the history. We'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be a very important game. And I think although people dismiss Nations League, being able to play against Belgium, Italy, or Spain right now in the way France is going on, I think it's going to be interesting, because I don't think nations will give up on that competition. I think they will want to win it. All right, let's go back to what matters right now. Deschamps. So let's talk about his choices. I guess everyone, including me, on the post, we're commenting on Benzema coming back and how it's great to have one of the best French footballer ever, potentially, coming back to play for the national team 6 years after his last game. It was also a bit of a late callback, calling him back just before the Euros seemed just like not the right thing to do, and probably a risk. If I digress a bit, excuse me, actually. I like this week I was just listening to the radio and doing what I do, following football, and I realized that I heard that a book was released in France this week by a journalist at Le Figaro, which is a famous French newspaper, and the name of the author for that book is Baptiste Depré. The book is called From the World Cup to the Euro, Secret Story of a Missed Rendezvous. Depré, the journalist, he's been with the French national team since Euro 2016. So he's with that media delegation that follows the French national team wherever they go. So he's done the Euro with France in France. He went to Russia to do the World Cup in 2018, and then he was all over Europe, basically, to follow them during the Euro 2020 in 2021. So full disclosure, I haven't read the book myself. It's only been released this week. It's been released in France, so I'll see if I can receive it, or if somebody wants to offer it for me. Christmas is soon, right? But he was invited in a couple of the shows that I'm listening to, watching, Baptiste Depré, and so he discussed a couple of I guess anecdotes, things that happen in the French group before the Euro, and things that sometimes have an importance. And one thing especially I think was very important. So he goes on to he writes that in his book, and so he discussed that on that radio show. He went on to talk about the fact that back in March, when they were playing Ukraine and Kazakhstan, so that window where they did 1-1 against Ukraine and they only won 2-0 against Kazakhstan, the qualification for the World Cup. Deschamps apparently got really, really mad at the lack of intensity and the lack of I guess focus that the player were on, and long story short, I think went down on them, being like, you think you're world champion and you think that you're all that, but you're not all that, and it's going to be hard, and blah blah blah. If you go in the Euro with that mindset, we're going to crash, etc., etc. And keep in mind that Deschamps kind of knows that firsthand. He was world champion in '98 and then went to the Netherlands and Belgium for the Euro 2000, which he won. But in between that, there was only friendly games where France was playing awesome, but it was only friendly games, so you didn't know what to expect. And it's been said a few times that between the World Cup and the Euro, the French national team kept very focused and kept talking to themselves, talking to each other, being like, we shouldn't think we're that good, and the Euro is going to be harder, and blah 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 blah. And then they win the Euro, but 2 years later, as we all know, they crash in the World Cup in South Korea and Japan. So Deschamps has seen firsthand that it works sometimes, and then it doesn't work. Mind you, he had left the team between 2000 and 2002. Maybe that's the reason why France didn't go on to win a second World Cup. Anyway, back to our story. Deschamps apparently gets really mad, and especially at some of his men in the group, Varane, Lloris, Giroud, Pogba, just that they are not given their their all, and that's what he wants. I think in the background of that, Deschamps already knows that he might be calling back Benzema. It's in the back of his head. Benzema has been amazing with Real Madrid the past 10 years now, and the past 5 years maybe especially, with the last couple of years of Ronaldo and the after Ronaldo, where he basically took the team over, and last year they get to the semi-final of the Champions League. It's a lot thanks to Benzema. And so that probably is in the back of his mind. And apparently at that moment when he gets mad and just basically go over his group against Ukraine or Kazakhstan, at that moment, that's when a call is made. That's when in his head he knows that he's going to call back Karim Benzema for the Euros. Of course, there's no game between those two games and the Euros, so he can't call him before. But at that moment, he knows that he's going to call Benzema because Deschamps is a man manager above all, and because he probably thought, this group is slowly getting away from me, and I need to find the right person, the right shock effect to be able to get the group back together, whether it's them all together against me or them rallying around what I'm saying. But I think that's Deschamps' mindset, where he's like, if I get Benzema in, A, I bring in an amazing player, and B, I get that shock effect that the media might not focus on other things that are negative, plus the players are going to be like, Benzema is here, maybe I need to be better if I'm Mbappe or Griezmann or Coman or Martial or any of the player playing up front. And the other player might be like, I'm the leader, but here I am playing with the captain of Real Madrid, so I probably need to set a better example for myself. Anyway, the call is made. Benzema comes at the Euro. At the Euro, I think Benzema's great, in my opinion. He scores a few goals, and then the Switzerland fiasco happened where you're up 3-1 with 10 minutes left, and then you just crash, and then you get out at the penalty, which I think those things happened, but it did happen to France when, I remember a newspaper headline, which was Griezmann, Benzema, Mbappe, and the whole Europe is jealous of our attack, and then Switzerland knock us out. I think you hear the critics, and for better or worse, I think I'm on the side of Deschamps, because now against Finland, finally, we see what Benzema can bring to the team. Sure, there was a couple of bad games against Ukraine and against Bosnia Herzegovina, which sort of lacked intensity, and it's been talked a lot that before you play Bosnia Herzegovina, the day before is the last day of the transfer window, and on that last day of the transfer window, two of your most important players, if not your two most important players, Griezmann and Mbappe, until midnight don't know what they're going to do. Griezmann, I think at 12:30 a.m. only is sure that he's going back to Atletico Madrid, and Mbappe until the very last minute thinks that maybe he's going to go to Real Madrid or not. So, the energy and the nervous influx, etc., they couldn't be into the right space of mind when they play against Bosnia. But anyway, you don't play well, you don't play well. There are reasons, there shouldn't be excuses. Despite all that, what we see against Finland, finally what we see is how amazing Benzema is going to be for that French national team, how great he links up with Griezmann, and how simple he plays. I mean, the humility of a guy like Benzema, who comes in, who's probably the best player in that squad by a mile, as far as consistency and talent and everything is one. And then he comes in and he's not here like sometimes Mbappe can do, or sometimes, not in France, but in Paris, a player like Neymar could do, or sometimes Payet can do, which is, I know I'm better, so I'm going to dribble. Benzema comes in and plays simple and one touch, two touch, and not more, and beautiful combinations with both Griezmann and with Martial, because Mbappe is not here against Finland. And so we see how much Benzema gets involved into the team, and how much he's trying to make his teammate better. He's involved in both goals, and both aren't scored by him, and he misses a goal by a little bit, and he almost gives Griezmann the hat trick as well. And you can see that he's like all smiles when they play so well. So you can see what he's going to bring. And I hear the critics, Deschamps, it looks like he's not handling Mbappe well, and Mbappe is getting, he's very ambitious, so he sort of has a big head now. I can understand that his ambition makes him look so arrogant. I also kind of respect the hustle, like we say, I guess. I respect a guy who has so much ambition that he thinks or is convinced that he's going to be the one. Thierry Henry was like that, and Thierry Henry ends up being the best goal scorer in the history of Arsenal and France. So, what do you say? If you succeed, you succeed. So Mbappe has that ambition and that sort of arrogance, confidence to himself, and is probably not handled the right way by Deschamps. But when Deschamps is at the head, I feel like he sees that, he knows that, and he's handling it in the background without us seeing it. And sometimes he's handling it in his own ways, which is, he's going to let Coman disrespect him in that quarterfinal against Switzerland. But I'm not going to be surprised if the next couple of calls Coman doesn't play a lot of minutes for France once he's back from his injury, of course, because Deschamps doesn't accept to be disrespected like this. Giroud went out in the media after the first game in the Euro and said, I keep making those runs and no one's giving me the ball. Deschamps hates to see dirty laundry aired just like that on the media. And so Giroud, after that, doesn't get a call, which is highly criticized in France, because Giroud is finally back in a club where he's playing in Milan AC, and he's actually playing well. He scored 2 goals last week, so before the international break, and he doesn't get the call, and everyone's like, Giroud's been your son for 4 years, Deschamps, and now what are you doing? You're not calling him when we know that we might need him. I think Deschamps, like I said, he's a management professional. He sees his group, he sees what works, what doesn't work. If you're not going to do what he wants you to do, I don't know if he's going to tell you or not, because there are words that apparently he's not good at dealing with ego, but he's just not going to call you in the national team, and he's just going to keep players that are humble, that are here to work hard, and they're going to be rewarded. Look at a guy like Martial. He's not always in the starting lineup in Manchester United, and we have a lot of strikers in France that could be in French national team because they're in the starting lineup. Martial is a guy who behaves well, who doesn't make waves. Next thing you know, he plays a couple of games with France and he scored a goal. And I think he sort of made a name for himself a little bit, because he's not casting any shadow over Griezmann and Benzema, but he's helping them performing to the level where we want to see them perform. So I think that's what makes Deschamps so good. If you're hardworking, you're going to be on Deschamps' side. Deschamps knows what Benzema brings. Deschamps knows that he can trust Benzema despite whatever happens, before whatever happens, and Benzema isn't called anymore in the French national team. Benzema was like Deschamps' son for 3-4 years. You know what I mean? Like, he was the guy that was going to bring him to success, and Deschamps was talking a lot to Benzema and expecting Benzema to lead the rest of the team. So when now he can have him back with the years, the experience, the humility again that Benzema has, Deschamps is definitely going to count on him. I mean, Benzema, he's a workaholic. He's got a great work ethic on and off the pitch. Again, he's here to play for his team, and he also knows that next year the Qatar World Cup is probably the last World Cup that he's going to be part of, and he knows that on his resume there's no international trophy. So he wants to have he wants to have it. At the Euro, things went sour, and now, without getting overexcited, it looks like things are in order. Mind you, Benzema, Griezmann, and Mbappe have only played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 games together, not more. If it was a regular club, you would expect 5, 6 games for the team to gel and learn how to play together. In a national selection, it should be the same thing. You should understand that getting a player in just before an important tournament is maybe not the best idea, because they need a bit of time to find automatism and to find a way to play with each other. Now 7 games under their belt, and we've seen how lethal Griezmann and Benzema can be. We've also seen Deschamps realizing where he's got issue in his squad, and next thing you know, Theo Hernandez from Milan AC gets the call this international break, and he did great against Finland. If in defense you have Theo Hernandez, Lucas Hernandez, Varane, who's going to play in Manchester United, who's going to get a bit more responsibilities. On the right, if you have an actual right back, so Mukiele has had the call. There's going to be a few players coming up. Deschamps was this weekend at Monaco, Marseille, probably to supervise Boubacar Kamara or Saliba or Ben Yedder or Chouameni Chouameni, who was playing with France as well. Deschamps knows that there's a few players that can knock on the door and can join the French national team for the World Cup, and he's going to make sure he's got the best squad. He wants to win. He's a winner. He wants to be in the history books, and France hasn't won 2 World Cup in a row because Russia was only our second World Cup. So I think he's going to do whatever it takes to go and win in Qatar. He is said to have changed the way he played. In Russia, we were playing very defensively and we were strong defensively. And then we were just getting the ball out and scoring in counter-attack. And we were great at that. We didn't do this in the Euro 2021. We tried to actually play football, if that makes sense. And we sort of tried and find the best way to play football, and we probably didn't make it. As much as we would like to have at the Euro, of course, we got knocked out. But against Finland, he goes back with his 3-5-2/5-3-2, and this time it works because the right players are at the right position, and because you got Benzema and Griezmann up front who are having fun with each other. So I'm pretty confident, and I think yes, Deschamps that way. Deschamps is still the right man for the job, and I think that I hope, of course, it's wishful thinking. That is going to bring us to a second World Cup in a row, and that even though we'll criticize the fact that sometimes football was boring and that he should have shown us a bit better and he should have been a bit better, and that we might have wasted a couple of years and maybe we could have won the Euro as well. That is still the guy who brings his teams to success, and I sincerely hope that he's going to offer Benzema that first World Cup that he's won too, and Mbappe a second World Cup in a row. There's a lot of ego in that team, but there's a lot of ambition. There's a lot of people that want to have their name in the history books, and sometimes it is the recipe for success. So I trust Deschamps. I trust that team. I think, if anything, now that they've been smashed at the Euros, they're going to go to Qatar with a chip on their shoulder, and hopefully that means that that chip on their shoulder will make them go there strong and ready to win and give us that third World Cup we deserve. Look at this transition. I'm just showing you again that beautiful stadium in Brisbane. All right, that was my little French editorial per se, and now we're going to go to what we like and what we want to talk about. We're going to talk about Ligue 1, the best league in the world since Messi joined. Just before we go into that game, Lorient Lille, that I've just put it on, and I wrote "Where are the champions?" so you know what we're going to talk about. Just before we go to those games, a quick touch on Nice OM, the game that ended up in chaos after the water bottle on Payet issue. It was judged by the disciplinary commission this week in France, and without me really commentating the calls, the game itself will be played again. That's the decision that was made, and will be started from the beginning. So Nice is losing that 1-0 advantage that they have with 50 minutes left. Nice was deducted 1 point and could be deducted a second point if they misbehave, basically. But they have already effectively lost a point. No appeal were lodged. So it's going to stand. And also Nice has to play 3 games without any public. So they've played one last week. The second one will be against Marseille, which the game will actually not be played in Nice, but it will be played on neutral grounds, so somewhere far from Nice and Marseille. And the third game that they will play without fans will be next week, Nice against Monaco. Besides that, the players now, so Payet got 1 game ban suspended, so he doesn't really get the game ban, but in case he misbehave again, he might be given the ban. Right now, basically nothing happens. And Alvaro got 2 games ban, which will come in effect from this week onwards. So he didn't play this weekend, mind you, but he's going to be suspended for the next couple of games. Last but not least, Sampaoli's assistant coach, who we see very clearly running in and punching a fan in the face, is forbidden to come near a Ligue 1 stadium until the end of 2022. That's all the decisions. Nothing for Guendouzi, nothing for any of the Nice player or Galtier, despite some images that we've seen. And as far as the other decisions, the decisions that are in the hand of the justice, the supporter who hit Payet, and that we see very well, will be sentenced in court next month, and the supporter who did the Nazi salute was also apprehended by the police. So yeah, we'll see what goes with that. Anyway, the mess is hopefully over. Hopefully it is behind us now. And from the reaction, neither OM nor Miss fans and a member of the administrations were happy, which usually means that the decisions were fair. If no one is happy on either side, that means that you find a fair in the middle decision, which I think is what the commission was trying to do, trying to find a way to not make any more waves that this game has already made. Anyway, not more than I can say about the matter, except that I agree with what's been given. All right, on to the football finally. And the first game of the weekend was Lorient-Lille. Where are the champions? Good question. We were looking for them. Lorient-Lille, 2-1 for Lorient. Lorienté, the first goal scorer at the 7th minute. Mofi at the 87th. Yilmaz at Lovold in the meantime at the 25th minute on penalty. 14 shots for Lorient, 7 on target. 9 shots for Lille, 3 on target. 57% possession for the reigning champions. Nightmare start of the season for Lille. They appeared to be everything but a team on Friday night at the Stade du Moustoir in Lorient. Defensively and offensively, they just lacked basically everything that gave them the title last season. No aggressivity, no creativity, no togetherness, and a lot of disorganized pressing, a lot of lost balls, a lot of technical mistakes that we haven't seen. Only half of the team running forward. Just messy. Just felt like a preseason game where you're still trying to find your rhythm, and just not pretty to see. Painful. Les Merlus on the other side, Lorient, Les Merlus as we call them, all good in the hood. 6 wins in a row at home. They officially now can be called giant slayers. Last year they beat Paris Saint-Germain, who was then reigning champions at home, and this year they beat Lille, reigning champions at home. They're one of the first team to ever do that, to win at home against both reigning champions. On the pitch itself, Lorient was more dangerous, much more dangerous. Mofi twice showed how quick it was, hard pacing literally everyone. And the first goal actually from Lorienté comes from one of those runs. He pushes the ball and runs through Botman, Fonte, and Renildo. They can't stop him, which is unbelievable. And then he's in the box. Renildo tries to tackle. The ball goes back onto Mofi. Mofi passes it to Lorienté, and Lorienté just crucifies Ivo Grbić. Ivo Grbić, the goalkeeper who keep conceding as much as Leo Jardim was. But he's actually a very good goalkeeper, and without him, I think there was going to be a few more goals scored by Lorient for that game. He delayed the fate until the last 3 minutes really. Lille came back, not too long after on a penalty at the 25th minute. Silly foul by Laporte on Yilmaz, and King Burak, as we call him, did it himself, scored a goal. But that's probably one of the only time that Nardi was really under pressure. There was another couple of opportunities that Lille just bottled, but other than that, it was just not great. Christophe Pellissier's men, they were rewarded at the end of the game because they played well, because they kept pushing. After the half, you expect Lille to wake up. They play well for 5-10 minutes, but then it's over again, and it's again that same disorganized mess. 5 minutes before the end, Le Goff and Boisgard play well onto the left side. Le Goff goes to the left wing, crosses, and again Mofi is able to run in front of Renildo, and Fonte doesn't even see that the ball is going to go next to him, and then he just sneaks in the ball under Grbić's legs, and that's 2-1, and Lille doesn't do what it takes to come back. It's scary for Lille. It just looks like it's about to be a long road, and they're starting their Champions League games this week. They're starting against Wolfsburg, and they have a pretty easy group. We'll come back to it at the end of the show, but it's scary. I'm going to put my neck out, and I'm going to say that I think Gourvenec will be the first coach fired this season in Ligue. That's a big call, but I don't see them I don't see them getting out of it because the same players that are playing last year are playing this year. It's only Maignan and Soumaré that are not here, and Soumaré was only in a starting lineup for the last 10, 15 games. And we've seen things that are scary. We've seen Gourvenec asking Benjamin André, his captain, something, and Benjamin André turning around to the bench and live saying something like, "Stop talking to me." So it's hard to see, and it's sad because Gourvenec had a great stint in Guingamp before he wasn't so great in Bordeaux, and he wasn't so great when he came back to Guingamp as well. But you would hope that a French coach was able to succeed in a club that was made successful by another French coach. But obviously, it's not working right now. Let's see what the future brings us. I made my prediction now. Let's see if I'm right. For next week, Lorient will be traveling to Reims, and Lille, as I said, will play in Champions League this week against Wolfsburg. And next week, it'll be the Derby du Nord. They're traveling to Lens on Sunday. The next game was Paris Saint-Germain versus Clermont. And Paris Saint-Germain won 4-0 against les Clermontois. Both teams were undefeated before the game, so it's Clermont's first defeat of the season, and it looks like a tough defeat, and it looks like the capital punishment because Paris Saint-Germain has scored 4 goals in the last 3 games. But it's something that was probably deserved, but also that Clermont took the right way. So the goal scorer, Ander Herrera scored twice in the first half at the 20th and the 31st minute. And then Mbappé scored at the 55th and Gay at the 65th minute. 13 shots for Paris, 7 on target, 52% possession. 14 shots for Clermont, 2 only on target, unfortunately, but they attacked the promoted club and they didn't let it go. Paris Saint-Germain are winning 5 games to start the season for the 3rd time in their history. The 2 first occurrences were not so far, 2017-2018 and 2018-2019. And of course, they won the league twice when they did that. They're probably on their way to win the league again, but we'll see what brings us. We'll see what the future says. This game obviously was played without Di Maria, Messi, Neymar, Paredes, all the South Americans, without Keylor Navas. So Donnarumma was in goalkeeper for the first time. And on the other side for Clermont, there was no Mohamed Bayo, their main goal scorer, who was rested for the weekend as well. Clermont and coached by Gastien, of course, did what they would have done against any team. They play the football that they like to play. They just try to get possession. It's not a lot that you're going to see Paris with only 52% of possession. They decided to play the usual game, the game that get them the result that they had since the beginning of the season, and they tried their best. Unfortunately, in transition, Paris Saint-Germain can be lethal and wear this weekend, and even on the build-up. And if you play against a team that is not going to park the bus, and if you start finding space in behind, then it's going to be almost too easy. The first goal is a great rebound taken by Herrera after Demas can't keep the ball in his hands, and the second goal is Herrera again, like a fox in the box, making sure that he's at the right place at the right time to score it in. And then after the half, Mbappé is able to score his 4th goal in 5 games, making him already the best goal scorer in the league. And the last goal was scored by Idrissa Gueye, his 2nd goal of the campaign already, which is good to see for a midfielder that was so criticized last season. What I said about that, Paris Saint-Germain really prepared a complicated week the best way possible. They're starting their Champions League campaign, of course, but then they're also hosting Lyon at the end of the week. So they needed to I guess, reassure themselves without their full team. The full wrath of Paris Saint-Germain, I think, will be known Sunday against Lyon. I think when they travel to Bruges midweek, they don't unfortunately, they don't need to put their A team, but against Lyon at the end of the week, I think that they're going to put their squad, and that's going to be a very interesting game to watch. In the meantime, Clermont will be hosting Brest, and Brest, who's not having the best start as well. So hopefully Clermont can go back to winning ways. Next game up, Monaco against OM. I don't know why it comes bigger on the screen, but that wasn't my intention. Sampaoli, I wrote. Let me get a bit of water. Sampaoli. 7 shots for Monaco, not 1 on target. For Marseille, 13 shots, 5 on targets, 1 goal scorer. Check Bamba Dieng, the young forward who's from Senegal and who was recruited early last year, I think, and who already scored a goal in the French Cup against Auxerre last season. A striker that Sampaoli talked about, and he said that he told him, Milik is not here, Benedetto is gone, show me that you can score goals, and you're going to be Milik's second choice. And well, Cheikh Bamba Dieng showed you, Sampaoli. Monaco before this season was maybe the best team in 2021. They only had lost 2 games. Now they've already lost 3 in the new exercise. The stats, unfortunately, they say it all. Not 1 shot on target for the club of the Principality. And the possession was, at best sterile for the home squad. And also, once Marseille was up 2-0, why would you keep the possession? On the other hand, you have Marseille, who didn't have Milik, of course, he's coming back at the end of September, but didn't have Payet either. Didn't have Mandanda on goals. That was the first game with Paolo Lopez in goals. And, it was a choice of Sampaoli, but believe me, no one was reassured, I think, when Paolo Lopez was in goals, because the little bit that we saw, I guess is a bit scary. Probably not the best goalkeeper to prepare the future with, but, maybe he's gonna prove me wrong in the future. For Marseille, it was probably, despite not having Milik, not having Payet, the best performance we've seen in recent years. They just dominated. It helps that Monaco, they have their head on the water right now. But Marseille was quicker on every duel, was more precise, more aggressive, and under Sampaoli's tactic was just so flexible. The shape just kept changing, and the team knew what to do, and it's very hard to defend against them when they know what they're doing. The man of the hour, of course, was Cheikh Bamba Dieng, playing on the left wing. Amin Harit was playing in false 9, the new recruit from Schalke, who's supposed to be Payet's number 2, and he's been recruited to give Payet some rest, and he's showed already in Monaco that he's going to be able to do that. He was orchestrating Wem's offense just like Payet would, I'm assuming. Dieng, hit the post twice before he scored the first goal, and also one of his attempts just blazed over the crossbar. So he wants to score, and he's not afraid to take his chance, and he's lightning quick. And on that beautiful pass by Luan Perez, he just took his wing. Matsima can't stop him. Disasi can't stop him. Manu Kovac tried to put one defender and then the other to try and stop the young forward, but no one could do anything. And then he's able to beat Nubel in 1v1. Nubel, who isn't very reassuring either. He's supposed to be the new Manuel Neuer. In my opinion, it's far from that. He might look it in training, but in professional competition, we're not seeing that yet. Anyway, besides that, Marseille being Marseille, they invited danger into their own box. I mean, Balerja at one point just gave the ball back to Kevin Volland, and then, mind you, made up for it nicely with a good tackle. He did a couple, actually, Balerja, a couple of good tackles from behind in the box, but perfectly on the ball. But there was also a free kick that was very dangerous from Monaco, but Folland and Gerson Fernandez somehow were unable to score, although they were a meter away from the line. It's tough to see Monaco like this because, it was only 1 goal ahead and they were not able to do anything. And we know that Marseille is fragile defensively. And then Marseille is able to score the second goal in the second half, which is Bamba Dieng thinking that he lost the ball. 2 Monaco players around him. No one's rushing throughout the ball. Harit hustles and gets the ball back and then passes it to Dieng. Dieng very easily dribbles Disasi and then scores it. You have 4 defenders around those 2, and no one is able to actually get there. It's hard for Monaco. I think it's all that you can say, really. Their defense, just like the start of last season, actually, their defense is just too easy to go through. And that's probably why they couldn't qualify for the Champions League. That's why they didn't beat Shakhtar more convincingly. And that's why they're going to have issues as well this season in Europe and in domestic league if they don't fix that. Maybe that's going to come with time. Maybe Kovac is going to teach them how to be better. But they look like they're still on holidays, and we don't want to see that. What we want to see and what we've seen is something that Marseille wasn't able to do since the beginning of the season. Keeping a clean sheet and managing the last half hour without playing hard, but making sure that the other team can't get through you. And they did that really well. They did that so well that, like I said, they kept their clean sheets. They've shown some good intent, a few substitutions, and the team still played the same way. It was good to see. The captain of the day was Bouba Kamara, without Mandanda, without Payet. And he was very good playing midfield, but also almost assuming a sweeper role when Marseille was defending. And Saliba was just a standout as well, just like Luan Perez, just like Bamba Dieng. Good to see what Marseille is doing. Good to see that they keep doing it. We all know that with the energy that's asked of them by Sampaoli, it might not last the whole season. There might be a couple of moments where they drop, but it's not right now. And right now is when the Europa League starts. So they need to be on the top of their form, especially with the group that they have. They're now sitting on the podium, no, just outside the podium. Virtually, they are on the podium, behind Paris Saint-Germain, Angers, Nice, and then it's Marseille. They are only 5 points away from Paris Saint-Germain, and they have one game in hand, of course, against Nice. On the other side, Monaco not doing well, second part of the table. They're going to host Sturm Graz Monaco this week in Europa League, and then they're going to travel to Nice on the weekend, of course, without fans. But yeah, the derby of the French Riviera is another scary thought for Monaco. In the meantime, Marseille will be traveling to Moscow for their first Ligue Europa game, and then where they're going to face the Lokomotiv Moscow, and then they're hosting Rennes at the Velodrome at the end of the week. All right, let's go through all the other games. I'm going to go a bit faster because it's already been almost 45 minutes that I'm talking, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. Montpellier against Saint-Etienne, 2-0. The goal scorer, Mavididi at the 32nd minute and Germain at the 62nd minute for Montpellier. Of course, 11 shots for Montpellier, 4 on target, 14 shots for Saint-Etienne, 2 on target, but 57% possession for Saint-Etienne. Les Verts, who played well, but who wasted a bucket load of opportunities, unfortunately. Entertaining game, very open, a lot of missed opportunities for Saint-Etienne, like I said, can have big regrets. Montpellier, who are now without Laborde and without Delors, they're two very prolific goal scorers who are gone to Rennes and Nice, respectively. We're attacking with Savanier, who's now the new captain, Mavididi, the young Wahi, and Germain, who, after being without a club for a couple of months, has joined. He was obviously playing for Marseille last season. Bouanga, Kazri, Amouma, Madi Camara all had golden opportunities in the first half and just weren't able to score. Camara had probably the best opportunity, but couldn't put it on target. On the other side, Montpellier just sort of waited for their opportunity, and then on an attack by Savanier and a beautiful pass from the exterior of the boot, he found Mavididi on the edge of the box, and the shot from Mavididi was too much to stop for his compatriot Etienne Green, the two English players. I thought, Saint-Etienne is going to react, is going to come back with better intention in the second half, but we didn't see much of that. What we saw is that, Green had to make a few saves to make sure that the score stays what it is, and then at one point he can't make that save when Germain is completely by himself at the far post and score his first goal for Montpellier. It's good to see. He could have scored another one afterwards, but he's showing the clumsy player that he was at Marseille and that he can be sometimes. Saint-Etienne, after this point, maybe had one real opportunity to come back into the game, but that was it. It was their new striker. What's his name? Ignacio Ramirez. I was going to say Ignacio Benitez. Ignacio Ramirez, who you could see very, very quickly, but you could see his technique because he was able to turn around and nutmeg a Montpellier defender. But Sacco did well the defending and tackling. Another good striker, another promising striker that we've seen coming in that game was the American Gioacchini, who plays for Montpellier now, and who probably will have a lot of playtime. So hopefully we're going to see a young emerging talent coming up. Les Verts are yet to get a win this season, and they're recording their worst start since 2009, 2010. The word is, of course, they're on sale, and they've been in conversation for a while now that Les Verts are going to have a new owner soon-ish. They're almost sold, is what we heard, and maybe the club internally is somehow imploding, which is a scary thought. Because if they're not going to stay in Ligue 1, then I don't know what the new owner is going to do. But anyway, next week they're going to host Bordeaux, who's the other giant struggling in Ligue 1. And Montpellier will be traveling to Troyes. Next game up is Brest against Angers, 1-1, the goal scorer on penalties both, Fèvre for Brest and Mangani for Angers. Fèvre at the 62nd minute and Mangani at the 78th minute. 12 shots for Brest, 6 on targets, 8 shots for Angers, only 2 on target, and 52% possession for les Angevins. Undefeated still, Angers, with that 1-1, and they can thank their goalkeeper Bernardoni in excellent form this weekend, in excellent form since the beginning of the season. But this weekend on the first half, it was 3 or 4 beautiful saves that allow Angers to stay in the contest, basically. Gérald Baticle on the bench for Angers. I remember before the season I said that Angers was probably one of the teams in the most danger of being relegated, and he's proving me really wrong. He is the first Angers coach to start with 3 games away undefeated since a long time, since before he was born. I think it was in the 60s that happened last for Angers. The team led by Bouffal and Fulgini had to suffer to get that result, though. Brest is an enthusiastic side, to say the least. Honora, Cardona, Del Castillo, who just joined from Rennes, they all tried. Obviously, Bernardoni, like I said, was in top form. Angers not able to develop as nice a football as we've seen since the beginning of the season. We didn't really see Mohamed Ali Cho. We didn't really see Bouffal this much. Yet they're able to score on penalty. Thankfully, they conceded the penalty first. Silifal at the angle of the box that Romain Fèvre was happy to score, and Romain Fèvre was happy to overly celebrate after the chat and the little bit of an issue with him saying that he wanted to go to play for Milan AC. Anyway, he's still at Brest and he's scoring a goal, so that's good. The equalizing goal came on an even sillier penalty. Bouffal is about to control the ball, and a Brest defender sort of pushes him, and the referee doesn't hesitate. The coach from Brest complains about it, there's Zakarian, and gets a second yellow for complaining, and so a red card is not going to be on the bench next week. Anyway, the result allows, like I said, the visitor to keep their undefeated records. But for Brest, it's the exact opposite. There's Zakarian and his squad have not won yet, in 2021. And they're traveling to Clermont this weekend. So it's a team that's in form against a team that's not in form. Hopefully for Brest, they end that bad series quickly. Angers, in the meantime, will be hosting Nantes. Next game up, another struggling team that hasn't won this year, Bordeaux against Lens, and a 3-2 win against Lens. The game went to the wire. The goal scorer, Kakuta and Medina for Lens in the first half at the 39th and the 43rd minute. And then in the second half, Bordeaux answered by Mangas at the 60th and Onana at the 88th minute. They thought at that moment that they had the equalizer and it was going to be 2-2. But Sotoka scored at the 96th minute for Lens, a penalty that was a bit controversial, but was given anyway. And the 3 points belonged to Lens after that. 10 shots for Bordeaux, only 3 on target, 55% possession for les Girondins, 13 shots, 5 on target for Lens. Bordeaux is, the other struggling giant with Saint-Etienne, bottom of the table after this game, Bordeaux, despite a new owner, a new coach, and a bunch of new recruits from Brazil, from Portugal, from Belgium. Les Girondins just aren't getting the results of a club of that stature, and I think the patience of the supporters is going to run pretty thin if they don't change that really quickly. With hosting Lens this weekend, they know how good Lens can be and how creative Lens can be, but they just took their time for the first half hour. Almost nothing happens. And once that observation round is over, Then it's Lens who strikes twice on headers. Once a collector's Kakuta heading the ball in, the left-footed genius. I don't think I've ever seen him scoring a header, but he scored a header on a beautiful cross by Frankowski, our Polish friend who used to play in the Major League Soccer. And the second goal came 4 minutes later, a beautiful corner kick by Jonathan Kloss, and the header by Medina, who left Kostil no chance. Kostil was a bit at fault on that header from Kakuta, but nothing he could do in front of Medina. Could have been 3-0, but another header by Sotoka this time hit the crossbar just before the break. And then Bordeaux had to do something. What they did is changing 3 players at halftime, and it worked. Better intention back in the game, a little bit like what they did against Marseille, really. And Mangas reduced the score and did that celebration with the hand in front of his face. Reduced the score and he played well. A cross by Adli, the new Milan AC player who will stay in Bordeaux the whole season. When he came in, the game changed basically. And then, like I said, Bordeaux thought they had the equalizer with that goal from Onana after a scramble into the box. Unfortunately for them, that penalty awarded for a handball in injury time. I mean, the player is very close to the football. The football is going towards the goal, so I also understand the call. But with those new rules, it looked like it was one of them penalties that might not be whistled. Anyway, it was given. Sotoka scores the game winner, and now Lens is undefeated and very happy at the 5th place, while Bordeaux takes a pretty sad dive all the way to the bottom of the table. Next week, Bordeaux will travel to Saint-Etienne, the duel, the 19th against the 20th, and Lens will be hosting Lille for the Derby du Nord. Next, Reims was traveling to Rennes. Reims 2-0 for the Stade de Reims. Ekitike scored first at the 26th minute, and Kofi scored at the 67th minute. 10 shots for Rennes, 1 on target, 64% possession for the Britons, and for Reims 7 shots, only 3 on target. It's going to be hard to say Rennes and Reims, but I will make it. Bruno Genesio's Rennes needed a moral boost before hosting Tottenham midweek, and it didn't happen, despite getting a lot more of the ball, despite getting a guy on Laborde up front now, and we know how good Laborde can be. Les Rouges et Noirs, the red and black, weren't able to find Guirassy, weren't able to find Laborde in good position. And Reims, on the other side, who were on a very sad run of 12 games without a win, finally stopped it. Reims are one of my favorite to go down, as well. And Bordeaux is here. Rennes is here to give them that confidence boost that maybe they're not going to get relegated. It's also the first home loss for Genesio since he joined Rennes. Anyway, the team's coached by Oscar Garcia. Reims was playing low and happily operated in counter-attack. And thanks to the speed of their strikers, their midfielders, Echikite, Kebal, Van Bergen, who comes from a team in the Netherlands, I can't remember, were able to get those goals. That's the speed of Kebal that brings him all the way into the box, and then his cross is successfully tapped in by Ekitike at the far post. Ekitike, who's only 19-year-old and showed a lot of potential during this first hour of football. He gets injured after that, and when he gets injured, he gets replaced by another 19-year-old Kofi, and that replacement comes in and goes on to score his goal. Comes from the left throw line, basically, run all the way to the box and open his foot a la Thierry Henry, and finds the opposite side net. It's hard for Rennes. They hit the crossbar in the meantime with a free kick by Bourigeaud. They have most of the ball, but they just weren't unable to beat a Rennes team that is not the best defensively. They have a great goalkeeper in Rajkovic, but besides that, not a lot going on. And Rennes have a very, very big week in front of them. Like I said, they're hosting Tottenham midweek for their first game in Conference League, European Conference League. And then they are going to the Stade Vélodrome to play against Marseille. Tough week for Bruno Genesio, but he's a coach that has had some great results in the past, so hopefully he can turn this around. In the meantime, Reims will be hosting Lorient. Next up, Metz against Troyes, and the first win for the club backed by the City Football Group. 2-0. The goal scorer, Gerson Rodriguez at the 50th minute, and Xavier Chavalerin at the 84th minute. 7 shots for Metz, only 2 on target, 63% of the possession, 10 shots for Troyes, and 5 on target. That was a duel between two teams who hadn't won yet this season, and it turned in favor of the newly promoted squad. The game was probably dominated by Antonetti's team, Metz, and Les Grenats even hit the crossbar into the first half and had a couple of occasions to put the ball in the back of Gauthier Gallant's net. They didn't. 0-0 at halftime, and then Troyes starting showing their worth. They recruited a few players at the very last minute in the transfer window. They recruited Gerson Rodriguez, who's on loan from Dynamo Kiev, and on a cross from Xavier Chavalerin, another newcomer from another Champagne team, Reims. That volley from Gerson Rodriguez is beautiful and is hard to realize. So great execution by the new offensive midfielder. And then Chavalerin, the bubbly forward, because he goes from Champagne team to Champagne team. Little joke. The bubbly forward scored his goal with 6 minutes left. A strike from inside the box, found the opposite side net. Between the two goals, again, Metz pushed and thought they was going to get awarded a penalty. The referee judged otherwise. It looked like a penalty when you look at the video, but Metz wasn't happy. Obviously, Antonetti was really unhappy, but the penalty wasn't given. And the game starts 2-0. Anyway, Troyes, first win of the season. Like I said, a lot of recruits in the last minute of the transfer window. Adil Rami, of course, has joined. 3 more players were loaned by Manchester City. But you see 2 players in the middle of the field, Kwame and Tardieu, who, just like they did last year in Ligue, are able, to be good at that level, at Ligue level. And it's good to see, because that means that what Batles was doing last year worked, and that those players are happy to, level up for the new challenges ahead. I'm particularly happy with, Tardieu doing good as well, since we are born in the same city, in Istres, in the south of France. Anyway, Metz, who had the full squad, somehow, still have that little win against Dijon in May to sort of hold on to, because besides that, it's 16 games without a win. Tough one. Concerning for Antonetti. Little derby for them next week. They're traveling to Strasbourg. Metz, one of those derby of the northeast of France. In the meantime, Troyes will be hosting Montpellier. Now we're going back at the top of the table. Nantes-Nice, 2-0 for Nice. Dolberg at the 75th minute and Gouiri at the 80th minute. 19 shots for Nantes, 7 on target, 51% possession. 9 shots for Nice, 3 on target, and 2 goals. So far this season, we've seen Nice dominating. We've seen Nice scoring early and then controlling. We've seen Nice putting on the fight like they did against Marseille, figuratively, like being really good on the football and scoring 1 goal and then holding onto it. Now we get to see them winning while being mainly dominated by a squad that seems to be coming together. Nantes, despite all those backroom chatter, besides supposedly the bad president and supposedly a coach who's only good at motivating people and not very good tactically. I said that, sorry Antoine Comparé. They were dominating against Nice, and not a lot of squads are going to be dominating Nice. Unfortunately, the points slipped through their fingers again, and that's thanks to that dynamic duo up front for Nice, Dolberg and Gouiri, 2 of the best strikers in Ligue 1 right now, and it's good to see Dolberg coming back to the level that was his a couple of seasons ago when he joins Nice for the first time. Anyway, the two players scored in 2 counter-attacks at the 75th and the 80th minute. Before that, Nantes had a plethora of opportunities. Moses Colomwani, who missed they missed a ball. But Nice made it. It's not for no reason that the man of the match was Walter Benitez. Melvin Barr, the left back, and Jean-Claire Todibo, the centre back, were probably the best player in Nice this weekend. But up front, they're able to score. Dolberg scoring against from his chest, just like he did against Marseille. And Guiri scoring after a beautiful sequence of football, where a couple of 1-2, one of them with Delors, the new recruit, and then he just put the ball past Alban Lafont, who I expect to be a bit better than what he was this weekend. Anyway, Nice probably had in mind that point that they lost against Marseille, so they weren't 100% when they started, but at the end of the day, they get the 3 points, and that's what matters. And now they are back in a good position, all the way at the top of the tables, and waiting for that game against Marseille to see if they can be at the same spot, or close, I guess, to Paris Saint-Germain. Next game for both teams, Nice is going to be hosting Monaco, and Nantes is traveling to Angers. It's not going to be easy for Nantes, but if they play as well as they did against Nice, they probably have a chance to get results out of that trip to Angers. Last game of the weekend was Lyon against Strasbourg, and a 3-1 victory for Peter Bosz against Strasbourg. The goal scorer Moussa Dembélé, who is in top form this season, at the 8th minute, and then Denayer at the 64th minute, Paqueta at the 87th minute. The goal from Strasbourg came in the dying embers of the game, 97th minute on penalty. 14 shots for Lyon, 7 on target, 59% possession, 12 shots for Strasbourg, 4 on target. And it's good to see that the Lyon squad, despite only getting Bruno Guimaraes and Lucas Paqueta back from Brazil the day before, despite supposedly their player being tired, and Shaqiri just came into the squad, finally they're offering the football that we thought Peter Bosz, was going to offer. A slick football, an attractive football, offensive football. Malo Gusto on the right did really well. Maybe not as good as Dubois defensively, but really good offensively. Just a bit of positioning that he needs to sort out. But the midfield in Lyon, which should be amazing, they have some of the best players maybe in Europe, finally finding their mark. Thiago Mendes, Aouar, Bruno Guimaraes, Lucas Paqueta, of course, is amazing. And that first goal came from Dembélé, amazing control and volley tackling, but a beautiful striker's goal, and a striker who's obviously, in confidence right now, and he knows what he's doing, because he's wearing the armband, he's leading by example, he scores. What else do you want? Nothing else happened in the first half, and then in the second half, Shaqiri, after a corner played quickly, gets his first assist from his bad foot, the right foot, beautiful cross, and the header by Denayer left Matzels no chance. And then Lyon kept pushing, although they were up 2-0. Gamero misses an opportunity for Strasbourg that he shouldn't have missed, 1v1 with Anthony Lopez, and that could have brought Strasbourg back where we wanted them to be, but it didn't happen. And then Paqueta has one opportunity to lob Sales and put the ball wide. The second opportunity, face-to-face with the Strasbourg goalkeeper, he just put it, open his foot, and opposite side net. Goal for Paqueta. The penalty came for a handball by Malo Gusto into the box. Obviously, involuntary handball, but the hand was a bit away from his body. So penalty for Strasbourg, and Diallo scored for Strasbourg. Surprising not to see Strasbourg rebelling early on after they are down 1-0, 2-0, because we've seen them doing that against Paris. But maybe they didn't have the same energy, and of course, if Gamero scores that goal, it's another story. But good to see for Lyon. Very big week coming up for Lyon. They needed that confidence boost, and they got it. Lyon this week is hosting the Rangers in Europa League. The Rangers coached by Steven Gerrard, we're going to talk about just after. And then they're traveling to Paris to face PSG. And in the meantime, Strasbourg this weekend will be playing against Metz. That's it for Ligue 1. We are going to talk quickly about what else is happening this week, which is European football. The Champions League, the Europa League, and the European Conference League are starting this weekend. So we're going to quickly look at the groups from our club. Before that, of course, a quick look at what the table shows right now. Paris Saint-Germain, obviously on top, 15 points in 5 games. Behind them, Angers with 11 points. And then Nice and Marseille, both with 10 points. Nice should have 9 points if one point is taken off or the point will be taken off on Tuesday. So Marseille will be third and Nice will be fourth, because Nice will only have 9 points with that point deducted. At the bottom, Saint-Etienne and Bordeaux, like I said, 19th and 20th. Sad to see. Anyway, let's finish that pod. It's already been 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm sorry if you've been with me the whole time, but thank you for staying with me the whole time. And now, Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain in their group, Manchester City, RB Leipzig, and Bruges. Bruges, Paris Saint-Germain is the first and the last game. And as I said in the pod, the late winner show, Paris Saint-Germain obviously have their chances to go through. Their favorite to win the Champions League after all, so they're going to go through for sure. They have a pretty good draw as well, starting with Bruges. They can get the confidence up. They have time to get Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe in their top form before they face Leipzig and Manchester City. Mind you, they've never won against Manchester City in Champions League, so maybe it's going to be a first. I expect them, of course, to go through. I expect them to smash Leipzig and to smash Bruges. I don't know if it's going to be a positive result against Manchester City, or not that it's going to matter. But yeah, I sort of expect them to finish second of their group behind Manchester City, because they don't need to finish first, because regardless if you finish first or second, you're going to have to face the best teams anyway from February to May if you want to win the Champions League. And in February, Paris Saint-Germain will be ready, which they might not be just yet. So yeah, I expect them to finish second behind Manchester City. The other club that's qualified in Champions League is Lille, and Lille has an easy group, quote unquote. Sevilla, Wolfsburg, and RB Salzburg. The first game will be Lille against Wolfsburg, and unfortunately, Lille, if they don't find a way to change what's happening right now, I just don't see them doing anything else than finishing fourth and last of their squad. It's just of their group. Sorry. Sevilla is a great club, and they're doing really well. Last season, they almost fought for the title. If it wasn't for a bad result at the very end. Salzburg is just flying over their competition in Austria, which is good and bad, because maybe that means the players aren't used to play Champions League football. But yeah, and Wolfsburg is a solid squad in Germany, and Lille is anything but solid right now. So yeah, look, hopefully they surprise us. Hopefully that's the motivation they need, and they turn up at home against Wolfsburg to celebrate that game in Champions League. But I'm a bit scared that we're going to see Lille finishing at the very bottom of their group. Let's go and check the Europa League now. 3 clubs in Europa League, of course: Monaco, Lyon, and Marseille. Monaco in their group, PSV, Real Sociedad, and Sturm Graz. The first game will be Monaco against Sturm Graz, the club from Austria, who's second behind Salzburg, right now on the table with 4 wins, 2 defeats and 2 draw and 1 loss, in 7 games. Of course, it's doable for Monaco to beat Sturm Graz, and they have to beat Sturm Graz this week at home. You just got to hope that they will do it, because the 2 other clubs, PSV and Real Sociedad, are going to be a bit of a different story. Real Sociedad are on 3 wins in a row right now after losing to Barcelona on the opener, and they have players like David Silva, who came from Manchester City, like Alex Isak, who I'm sure you've discovered at the Euro, just like I have. And of course, PSV, 4 wins after 4 in the Eredivisie, 14 goals for top of the league. And you got players like Mario Götze, Van Ginkel, Gakpo that we're going to discover, Zahavi, the Israeli striker. It's not going to be easy for Monaco. I expect them to fight for the second spot, and hopefully they can take it away from Real Sociedad. I don't expect them to beat PSV. And if they don't turn their head back around and win this week against Sturm Graz, it's going to be really hard for them, I think, to get anything out of that group. Next on is Lyon. Lyon in their group, you have the Rangers, you have Brøndby, and you have the Sparta Prague. The first game will be Rangers against Lyon. The Rangers, of course, on top of the league in Scotland, with 4 wins and 1 loss. In those 4 wins, there's the old firm. They beat Celtic already, 1-0. Brøndby is not doing that well this season, so Lyon is probably lucky with their draw. Brøndby only 1 win out of 8 games since the beginning of the season back home. And Sparta Prague, 5 wins in 7 games and 18 goals scored domestically, but they lost to Monaco this season in the Champions League qualifier. And Monaco wasn't really bothered. They showed good positive football, but Monaco was able to beat them. So I'm sure Lyon will be able to do it as well. I see Lyon finishing on top of their group and even above Rangers for that Europa League draw. The last club in Europa League is Marseille. Marseille, who's having not an easy group. Lokomotiv Moscow, Lazio, and Galatasaray. 3 clubs with crazy fans: Marseille, Lazio, and Galatasaray, and the familial club from Moscow, Lokomotiv Moscow. I don't know what familial club means in Russia, but Lokomotiv Moscow is the familial club of them all. Lokomotiv Moscow, quickly, they're third on the table. They're still undefeated. They have some good players in their squad. They have Guillerme, which is an international goalkeeper. They have François Camano, who used to be at Bordeaux. They have Beka, who was the midfield of the French Olympic team and who's a pretty good young midfielder, was playing for Caen last year. Galatasaray, didn't finish top of their table last year because of goal difference. 1 goal was the difference between Besiktas and Galatasaray, and Besiktas finished first. Oh, Besiktas or Fenerbahce? Oh, I can't remember. Go look it up. It's either Besiktas or Fenerbahce. But anyway, they finished second by 1 goal. Besiktas. It was Besiktas anyway. 2 win, 2 draw this season for Galatasaray in the Super League. And they're a bit in a transition year. They're recruiting young players. They're getting rid of old players. They are, trying to change that. That usual, an old player gets paid a lot of money in Turkey, and that's where they finish their career. Instead, they try to attract younger players from East European Championship or from Brazil that we don't know, and they got players like Morutan, Sacha Boy, obviously from Rennes, Nelson, Chicaldo, and that young little discovery from Famalicão, Gustavo Asunção. Let's see what he does for Galatasaray. And the last team, of course, that Marseille faces is Lazio. I am so looking forward to Marseille-Lazio. Sarri ball with Lazio. Sarri is a great coach, offensive football at its finest, I guess is how you define Sarri, and it's great to see him in charge of Lazio. It's going to be a 5-4 or a 4-3, this game between Marseille and Lazio. Of course, with Rome, you have players like Ciro Immobile, Lucas Leiva, Pedro, Milinkovic-Savic. I think they're the group's favorite. It's going to be hard for Marseille to win against them, but Marseille likes to play in Rome, so we'll see what happens in that group. I'd give Lazio first and Marseille second. We'll see what happens. And then, last but not least, Rennes playing the Europa Conference League. In their group, Tottenham, Vitesse, and Murat. Not easy for Rennes. Rennes-Tottenham will be the first game. Nuno Espirito Santo is the new coach. Kane, of course, stayed in Tottenham. Lloris, Lucas Moura, and Ndombele are there and are known from the French crowd. If anything, it's great that Rennes plays them straight away, because they just lost 3-0 against Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace this weekend. So maybe they're going to be not in form, and maybe Rennes can take advantage of it. Otherwise, not an easy draw for Les Rouges et Noirs. Vitesse, there's a bit of a question mark on that team. Last season they did okay. They were in the lead for a while, and then of course you got Ajax and PSV in that competition. So what do? But they have a lot of young people. They are renewing their players following the Red Bull model, because their sporting director is a former head of recruitment for the Red Bull organization. So you don't really know what to expect for Vitesse. You just know that they're good, and they have Oussama Tanan, although there were some issues this season with him, who's up front. It's not going to be easy for Rennes. The last club in the group is the unknown Mura, the Slovenian, who finished champion also on goal difference ahead of Maribor. They couldn't make it to the Europa League because they lost against Sturm Graz. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're capable of. In their domestic league, in 8 games, they've already conceded 14 times this season. So So maybe they're not that great, but it's great to see a club that you don't know about, and Slovenia is always a nice country to travel to play, I'm sure, for Rennes. So we'll see what that brings. I don't think they're going to be a big obstacle for Rennes. I think Tottenham and Vitesse are going to prove too hard for Rennes to go through. So I expect Tottenham first, Vitesse second, and Rennes, unfortunately, third on the table. That's it for this Farmers Corners FC podcast. Yeah, I almost lost my way there. Thank you again for following. Thank you for watching on YouTube or on Facebook. As you can see, my 3 Arsenal shirts in the background. I decided to honor them. They finally won their first game against Norwich this weekend. They're not playing any European competition, so that's why their shirt is up there, so that I'm not showing any favoritism this week. Thanks again for following. Thanks for interacting. Feel free to, like I said, give a listen to the Late Winner Show, where I did the preview of the group of Paris and Lille for the Champions League. And as usual, hit me up on Twitter, follow, subscribe, keep coming. This was episode 6 of the season 2 of Farmers Corners FC, and I will talk to you guys next week. Ciao. Thank you.